We are going to sing My God is So Great this morning. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are His, the rivers are His, the stars are His handiwork too. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. Happy Sunday!
From the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Chapter 20, verse 2 from the book of Exodus. Now do it with me. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Good job!
Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Cherub Church. Today, our story picks up in the book of Exodus. The word Exodus means a mass departure of people, and Exodus is the second book in the Bible. We are picking up from where the Woodwards left off last week, where we talked about Joseph and about God's great plan to deliver the Israelite people through the famine through Joseph. Now, many years have gone by. It's been about 300 years where our story today is going to pick up. And in those 300 years, the Israelite people have grown, and now there's so many of them that the Pharaoh, the leader of Egypt, is starting to get nervous because there are so many Israelites, he's fearful. So he comes up with a terrible, terrible law that he's going to make all of the Israelite people his slaves. So the Israelites worked so hard day and night, and the whole time they were crying out to God, saying, please save us, please deliver us from this slavery. And as God always does, he had a plan. Now we just sang, my God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. And we're going to see that in this story today play out again and again. So whenever I do the muscle motion, I want you to do it with me and to repeat those words. Our story today picks up with a baby named Moses. Now when Moses was born, the Pharaoh had passed a law that it was a crime to have an Israelite baby boy. And so poor Moses' mother wanted to do whatever she could to protect him. So she put him in a basket and took him down to the river. And while they were there, the Pharaoh's daughter saw him in the little basket, and she picked him up and decided to take him home and raise him there in the palace. Now this was amazing because as part of God's plan to deliver the Israelites, he had taken baby Moses to live in the Pharaoh's palace, and not only that, but Moses' mom was going to go and help raise him in the palace. So even though Moses dressed like an Egyptian and ate like an Egyptian and lived in one of their palaces, his mom was there teaching him about the one true God. Now, boys and girls, that's something that only God could orchestrate, because my God is so great, so strong, and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. But one day Moses did something wrong, and he ran away from the palace and started a new life as a shepherd. And his life was very, very different than it had been in the palace. He lived in the fields all day taking care of his sheep. And one day as he was looking out for his sheep, he saw the craziest thing. He could not even believe his eyes. A bush was on fire, but that wasn't even the crazy part. Even though the bush was on fire, it was not burning up. If you've ever seen a fire burning in your fireplace, you know that eventually the logs burn up. And that's what would happen to any other tree or bush that was on fire, but not this tree, because God made it catch on fire, but not burn up. And as Moses got closer, he heard a voice calling to him from the bush. And because my God is so great, so strong, and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. Moses got closer and closer, and he heard the voice saying, Moses, Moses, take off your shoes. You are on holy ground. So Moses took off his shoes and got closer to the bush. But don't you know he was scared because he had never seen anything like this. And God shared with Moses his plan that Moses was going to deliver the Israelite people from captivity in Egypt. And Moses was fearful and said, God, the Pharaoh will not listen to me. Why will he listen to me? I'm just a man and a shepherd. He is not going to let your people go because I tell him to. And God said, Moses, I'm sending you on this mission. You are going to tell my people, the Israelites, that I have sent you to rescue them. And Moses said, but God, how will these Israelite people listen to me? Why will they listen to me? How will they know I'm telling the truth? And God showed him 3 different signs. The first one, he said, Moses, take your rod, which is a walking stick, and drop it on the ground. And Moses did. And when he dropped it on the ground, it turned into a snake. And Moses scampered off because he was so scared, but God called him back and said, Moses, reach out your hand and pick up your rod. And when he did, the snake turned back into a rod. And Moses said, that is amazing, but what if they still don't believe me? So God said, all right, put your hand into your pocket. And when Moses pulled it out of his pocket, it was disfigured and discolored and looked kind of scary. And God said, well, put it back in your pocket. And when Moses put it back in his pocket and pulled it back, his hand was healed. And Moses said again, but I don't know that they're going to believe me, God. What should I do? And God said, scoop up some water from the river and pour it on the ground. And when it hits the ground, it will turn into blood. And Moses was still scared to do this great thing, but he knew God was calling him to do it. And God said, I will send your brother Aaron with you to help you deliver the Israelite people out of Egypt. Boys and girls, there really is absolutely nothing that our great, strong, mighty God cannot do. This is where we're going to pick up in our story next week, and we're going to learn more about Moses and God's great plan in delivering the Israelite people through him. See you next week.